Good evening, everyone. I'm trying to finish a thought really quickly on the after action report from this past weekend. But before we get kicked off, the views and opinions on this program are not necessarily those of the SCV. It's GEC, any division, brigade, camp, or other subsidiaries, strictly those of us, excuse me, who are expressing them. I hope everybody is having a wonderful Monday evening. Uh, I am done with that thought because my pencil just rolled on the floor, and I'm not going to be able to continue on with that thought without my pencil in hand. So, hey, Moose.
How is everybody?
It is. Oh, I'm fine. Paul Gramling seems fine. Jack Dupont seems fine. Happy late birthday, by the way, buddy. Dr. Sandy Mitchum seems fine. Yeah. Frank on YouTube seems fine. Um, Kyle seems fine. Gerald seems fine. Yeah, Tornadoless Biloxi for sure. Um, so yeah, what'd you do this weekend, Moosey?
Oh, I just got ready for hunting season, so I spent time with my family, helped out my grandfather a bit, um, helped him get a lovely portrait, and then yeah, I hunted in my free time if I had some. So it was a great time. I did not kill anything, sadly. I didn't put any fresh meat in the ground, but
Well,
that was
it's just opening weekend, but hey, oh, Calvin Hart is freaking fine. Walter D. Donnie Kennedy, greetings from North Louisiana.
he's.
Howdy. Um, he seems
I,
fine.
I shall return. 1 second.
Oh Lord. Well, so this is what I did this past weekend. Thursday night, I went through some of the boxes that, for those that don't know, for years, the headquarters for the National Sons of Confederate Veterans was held at the War Memorial Building in Jackson, Mississippi. The SCV still has an office in Jackson at the War Memorial Building. However, the War Memorial Building is currently under renovations. Um, so we had to move everything out of our offices, and so we have some files that needed to, and he's back, needed to come
Sorry, my
to
computer updated.
needed to come back, and just so we make sure that they were not removed. I'm actually having to do the show from my phone tonight, so if you see my phone, see my finger in the phone or in the camera, that's why. Um, so anyway, I've been going through the stuff that's in the office, and I have been. I did a box Thursday night that was copies of old veterans. So y'all, please excuse the photographs. I was taking pictures and sending them to Adam Southern to see if we had these copies at headquarters. And believe it or not, we didn't. But so we will soon, as soon as I can get up there and deliver them. Um, that's actually the first addition back to the veterans. So that's one that we were missing up at headquarters, but we will have it back. So I was happy to find that and make sure that it is preserved for the future of the SCV. In fact, the very first article says after 53 years, we're back. So that's how I knew it was the first one back. Also found very interesting a program from, I believe, 1962, 63. One of the National Reunion programs. There's some letters written by some famous folks in there. Won't mention who they are, but I'll let Adam talk about that hopefully on the future episode of Hearth and Home. One had a very interesting article about Dr. McCain, and Harrison had been working on a biography of Dr. McCain. Actually, put out a question a couple of years ago, or a couple of months ago, asking if anybody knew who Dr. McCain's SCV ancestor was. Well, there it is. And I tried calling Harrison Thursday night, and it wasn't super late. We have talked much later on the phone. He just ignored my call. I have schoolwork. I have schoolwork.
I'm trying not to work on Thanksgiving week, and so I was trying to
This
work a
was
whole weekend.
last. This was last Thursday. You could have taken
Exactly.
the
I
5
was
minutes for the
trying
call.
to work a week ahead so I wouldn't have to work this week.
But he didn't text me. He didn't send anything back. It was just, and then finally I said, well, you'll learn not to ignore my phone calls.
He hailed my biography that I've been working on for about a year now hostage. I get that text, and it's like it's
No,
a
no, no,
much
no, no,
later.
no, 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 no. I did not hold it hostage. I just discovered that information. I'd
Yes.
found, and I told you I'd found the name, but if you go and search in the Civil War Soldiers and Sailors system, which is a free resource out there, but not the best resource out there, um, it has several William McCain's or W. McCain's or something like that. But nailing down the actual regiment was tough. But that's an article written within his life, so that's a good first person source, or as close to first person source as you can. And then also in that same first edition veteran, I found this lovely article in the Army of Tennessee. If y'all can read that or recognize that, that's General Westmoreland, who was active, or well, was the mainmost general in the Vietnam War. Talks about him joining the Sons of Confederate Veterans under one of his ancestors from South Carolina, and his ancestor story about him being captured and spending the majority of the war in a prisoner of war camp. So that found that interesting, and of course, we've got our Hearth and Home now, which Dr. McCain helped us get, the National Confederate Museum at historic Elm Springs on the Southern Cultural Campus, or something like that.
Yeah.
We'll need a T-shirt with that on there, or put it in there so we can read it. But before that, when we decided to have our own national headquarters in the late 1980s. And it was put to the Confederation for a vote. The original, here's a good trivia question: where was the original uh, idea for it?
The HQ.
The original HQ.
I'll throw in another question. How many HQs have we had, and can you name the locations of the currents?
All right. That is not that. No, 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 no. You don't need to do that, because before Dr. McCain, the headquarters were wherever the commander in chief was, or the adjutant in chief was. So that's really not a really answerable question there.
Could have some really smart people.
Yeah. Um, so I mean, if anybody, Chuck Mack, yes, I knew you would know it. I knew you would know it. Yes, yes. Winstead Hill was voted. I found that out. We voted. I say we. I wasn't alive then, but the organization voted between South Carolina near Manassas and Winstead Hill. Winstead Hill was chosen by the membership, and I have an artist rendering of what they wanted it to look like. Again, not a
Ooh.
great picture from my point of view, but it's got a fountain and a giant battle flag, and would have stood on top of Winstead Hill. So, yes, good job, Chuck Mack. You get a cookie. Now, by the time I see you, um, by the time I see you, yeah, Paul, we're just going to have to agree to disagree on the actual independent building. I'll concede to that, but
I'll concede to
um,
that. Yeah.
yeah, but there's documents in there that says headquarters War Memorial Building, Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah.
So
We
anyway, so
shared headquarters with the Mississippi Division for a while.
yeah, um, and we
Real
still
quick
have
before we move on.
that office written into law for us. So yeah, that's just some of the little stuff that I was able to pick through and find. Found some pictures of some older members of the Mississippi Division. Found where some other members that are actually still, yeah, actual property owned by the membership. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
okay. Yeah.
see to that. Speaking of old members, hi Carl.
Greetings to all of the viewers who will watch the replay.
We've never done that. Thank you, Carl.
Well, that was the tip that StreamYard gave me as I was signing in.
Well, at least it's not wear headphones if you have an echo.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Anyway,
We do have actually a rerun going this week We won't have an episode of Look Around the Confederation this week. So at Wednesday at 7 p.m. Confederate Standard Time, we'll be having a rerun of this November's Commander's Comments.
That's awesome. Y'all saved me tonight. My wife,
we did?
yeah, my wife all of a sudden is a big NFL fan. It has something to do with Taylor Swift and whoever she's dating, and so she's tuning into every game, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, she's like, you don't have to watch it. You can go into another room. And I'm like, I'm cooking supper. I can't take the stove into another room, so.
I mean, you could have.
Well, I mean, I could, but it's not going to work. So yeah, y'all got me out of Monday Night Football. I mean, as I told her, if I were to look through the Hubble telescope, I could not find my interest in NFL football. So
that's fantastic. So for those who do not know, I knew you said football, but I didn't know the story. So I called Carl right before the show, and I could have swore I reminded Carl about tonight. And Carl just calls me. He's like, "Hey, what's this link you sent me?" Well, it was a sign in to be the guest of tonight's show. Carl does. I'm the guest. And I was like, "Well," I said, "We'll figure it out, Carl. Don't worry about it. No, that's on me for not reminding you." And Carl does. I'll be on.
Yeah, I told her. I said, "Well, thank God. I mean, I got something to be thankful for this week." What's her face? What's the girl's name? I just said her name.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. Yeah, she could be dating a soccer player.
Well, I mean, it'd still be football in 90% of the rest of the world. But yeah. Carl, soccer was invented by European men for something to do while their wife worked.
You almost got that right. It was invented by European women to have something to do while their husbands wash dishes.
Oh, sorry. Forgive me, Hank Hill.
So how are y'all?
We are. I'm working on a after action report from this past weekend. I'm on page 2 of what's probably going to be 5. And Moose is, well, he's Moose. And my camera is messing up.
Yeah, Jimmy Martin says Carl's on the porch hoping to see it rain. I'm actually hoping it'll knock the cable out.
Oh, I'm sure Donette has some type of streaming app that she can watch the NFL on. Yeah, hold on one second. Moose, knock me off. Wait, never mind.
All right, I knocked you off.
Thank you.
Thank you. Quiet and peaceful now. Oh, hey, you're back.
Yeah. I'm actually having to. I had to break out. I left my laptop at the office and refused to go back up there until my time off is over with. So I'm actually having to use one of our old handheld tripods to broadcast from with the phone. So I'm using the old equipment to help run this.
I said, whatever works. Dixie Bell asked, why am I on the back porch? I think I'll probably be sleeping here.
The game ought to be over by your bedtime.
I annoyed her.
Oh, yeah, you probably will be sleeping out there then, Carl.
That'd be all right.
What are you? Well, so we talked about this 2 weeks ago when we came on and talked about something on a Thursday. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Was that 2 weeks ago, Moose?
Yeah. It
was not.
Yeah.
We talked. We thought we would talk about Thanksgiving and what we're all cooking for Thanksgiving and everything like that.
Yeah.
What'd you cook for Thanksgiving, Carl?
Well, I'm making a traditional Thanksgiving supper consisting of popcorn, pretzels, jelly beans, and toast.
Oh, see, I'm doing another traditional one. I'm using pizza crust to make an apple brown Betty or apple brown Peggy. Excuse me.
Yeah, well, so you're following King of the Hill, and I'm following Peanuts, Charlie Brown.
Yeah, and I'm going. Actually, I'm going to blow up a turkey in the backyard.
Well, just don't drop them out of a helicopter; they can't fly.
Yeah, yeah. I rewatched that the other day in my office, and somebody who is about my age walked in and said, "What's that?" And I said, "It's WKRP Cincinnati." I'm like, "What's that?" I'm like, "You are uncultured swine."
Uncultured
I'll
swine.
be honest. I don't even. I mean, I remember that show. I remember at the time thinking it was a stupid show, but I tuned into it because Lonnie Anderson was on it, and you know that was it. I had no other interest in that show.
Well, Dad. A lot of people don't realize this, but in college, one way he paid his way through college was he was a disc jockey for the local college radio station, and that was right when that show was coming out. So it's he kind of lived of course, smaller scale, but he had a lot of memories of um, going up there on the air, and he said he acted a lot like Johnny Fever. I think he acted more like Les Nessman. Um, so he had us starting watching it and then playing Find the Band-Aid every week when the rerun came on.
Yeah. Um, I literally have not seen that show since whenever it went off the air.
So really, besides the popcorn and the jelly beans and toast, what are you cooking for the Thanksgiving dinner?
Actually, nothing. We found out Saturday are going to my in-laws who live approximately 7 miles down the road from us, and so I'm not cooking anything. Uh, this and I actually may not even be eating Thanksgiving. I'm in kind of intending on hunting Thursday. Saturday, I've got a couple of buddies coming over. We are setting up a steel challenge competition pistol range on my property, and we're gonna shoot a couple. Well, actually, probably 300 to 600 rounds. Doing a mock competition for practice for an upcoming pistol shoot. And then Saturday and Sunday, I've got students coming in. I'm going to be teaching other people how to shoot. So this is a work weekend for me. Honestly, I'm just kind of not even acknowledging Thanksgiving at all this year.
Another reason why you're sleeping on the porch.
Yeah.
No, Donette's working Thanksgiving Day.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So Wyatt's going to be with his girlfriend and their parents and or her parents. I mean, so yeah. So I mean, I have not had a day off since Labor Day weekend. I didn't want to interrupt it. So
yeah, and that's something to be thankful for.
Yeah.
well, it is. I mean, honestly, I mean, shooting handguns, teaching people to shoot, that is a day off for me. So, I can put in 12 hours doing that, and I'm totally relaxed when it's over.
Yeah, doing what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
There you have it.
Well, this is the first year in like 5 years I'm not cooking turkey. Actually, longer than that. First year in 5 years I'm not smoking the turkey, and in several years I'm not baking it either.
Y'all want me to tell you something crazy?
Sure.
We don't have turkey for Thanksgiving lunch.
What do you have?
Y'all have lunch?
Chicken fettuccine. Fettuccine.
Fettuccine.
Yeah, chicken fettuccine.
Okay.
Made from scratch over like the course from the early twilight morning.
how do you make fettuccine from scratch? I mean, you're like handcrafting your own noodles.
Heck if I know. Hey, I don't cook the fettuccine. I just eat it.
That tracks.
That tracks a lot. So, like, here is the menu for my Thanksgiving lunch. And now I don't know what. So, like, my family is weird. We get together for Thanksgiving at dinner time, and at lunch, me and my dad go over to some very close friends of ours, and we eat lunch there. And for that one, we have chicken fettuccine, homemade mac and cheese, homemade mashed potatoes and gravy, small hams, and pecan pie and chocolate pie.
Yeah, I would Gerald Nelson, navy beans and ham, except I call them white beans. You know, I refuse to eat navy or northern beans, so to me they're just all white beans.
And you got to have raw onion with it.
Huh? I
gotta
will
have
eat navy beans. I won't eat northern beans. If I wind up with northern beans, they're just white beans. You know.
Yeah, but you got to have white onion with them. Raw white onion.
Well, green onion for me, but yeah. Dixie Bell said he loves sweet potatoes, man. You know, if there are three things that would kind of cut into my southernness, it would be my hatred of sweet potatoes, rutabagas, and there's one more in there. Oh yeah, baked beans.
Southern baked beans, not to be confused.
Except baked beans aren't southern. But yeah, the southern version with all the sugar and bacon in it. Yeah, I don't know. You have them.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I won't eat them. You know, when I say I don't like something, it doesn't mean I won't eat it. It just means I prefer almost anything else.
Well, you did get with the Memphis reunion. Last reunion we had in Memphis. We went and ate dinner with the Alabama division. I think you were lieutenant commander at that point, and it was someplace in Beale Street. And you actually gave me your baked beans that evening.
Yeah,
and they weren't
yeah,
good.
I'm not a baked bean fan, and I'm definitely, absolutely, 100% not a sweet potato fan.
Well, we're doing
rutabagas. Honestly, I went through the gas chamber at Paris Island in 1986, and it didn't bother me in the slightest. I mean, I was breathing perfectly fine in there because I had grown up with a grandmother who cooked rutabaga every week.
Is that the one that used to throw shoes at the hall?
No, that was an aunt.
Oh, okay.
My grandmother cooked rutabaga, and I swear, when I went the first time I ever went through the gas chamber, I was like, "Dang, this smells like rutabaga." Yeah, it was pretty bad. Dixie Bell, you're way off track there, Bubba. I love grits, man. You ain't got to put nothing in them. You don't have to put butter, cheese, salt, pepper, none of that. I'll eat them dry right out of the box.
I've seen them do it. So I got a friend of mine who just opened a restaurant last year, and she's doing catering stuff. So we're buying the smoked turkey and ham from her, and which makes me extremely happy. That means I don't have to get up at the butt crack of dawn to start the fire, get the turkey going, get it on. I don't have to start brining the turkey tonight like I do every year. And then start injecting it, then start, getting up and smoking it and yada, yada, yada. I can actually sit back and maybe watch the parade if I wake up early enough, or just start on Gone with the Wind. Yeah, that's
so what kind of brine do you use?
I do a dry brine, preferably. The wet brine is just, it's a bunch of liquid. You got to make sure you got ice in there. I found that the dry brine, dries it out enough to where then I can go in with my injector and refill with the liquids that were lost. And also, inject about halfway through the cooking process. So my dry brine is kosher salt. It's got to be kosher salt or rock salt or something like that.
Sea salt.
Yeah, sea salt, exactly. Something big and flaky. Um, then whatever rub I'm going to put on the actual outside of the skin at once I rinse it off. And that's about it. And I cover it and I put it back in the fridge for a couple of days. And I'll come in and repack it. And Wednesday night I'll rinse it off, hit it with the seasonings that I'm putting on the skin. Inject it the first time. Thursday morning, wake up, inject it again. More seasoning on it from whatever's either rolled off or lost. And then I hit it with Pam on the breast. And then I put it breast side down on the smoker, let it go halfway done, flip it, re-inject, and pull it about 3 o'clock, and let it sit under. Of course, put onions and oranges in the cavity, but let it sit in the roasting pan for. Put it in the roasting pan. Let it sit in the roasting pan under a tin foil for until it's ready to carve, and then
Yeah.
cut the meat off the bone, pour the drippings on it, and call it a turkey.
Okay. Well, you go through a lot more trouble than I do.
Yeah.
When I cook a turkey, I cook my brine is I make an apple sage brine.
Yeah.
It's 50% apple cider, apple cider and water. It's got some sea salt, kosher salt, whatever, orange peelings, black peppercorns, nutmeg, allspice, all of that in there, and I brine it for about 24 hours. And hang on a second, I'll be right back.
Some people are saying that's way too much work. I agree. But having that, turkey sitting around in the juice, and we've only got the one refrigerator, so at that point I've got to make sure that it stays cold, and for me it's just easier to just dry brine it. I would love to fry one, but Mother's afraid that I'm going to burn the house down. So there's that. Carl's back. The ham, I get one that's already already smoked. I try to get a whole one. I don't like the spiral cut because the cuts are too thin on it. So I just throw it back out there. Do a basic bourbon and a little bit of brown sugar glaze that I pour over it every so often. I saw Chuck Mack put in there something about venison. Depending on how open week and weekend went, we'll occasionally have deer meat. I've got 2 packs of ground meat left. Probably gonna make dirty rice, deer burger dirty rice as a side this year. Mom will make dressing. I don't eat dressing. That's my unsouthern thing. And then we do sweet potatoes and apples. So you're getting spiced apples and sweet potatoes. Susie does green beans that are they're called cracked green beans, but it's got a bunch of garlic in them, bacon bits, soy sauce, brown sugar, so it's like a sweet, tangy, salty green bean. Mom does butter beans, corn casserole, deviled eggs. And I'm shooting this year for an egg custard pie, but I don't know if she'll do that or not.
Quick, we do have a comment. Someone wanted to talk about Carl real quick. Dixie Bell says she just loves Carl. He seems like a lovely councilman.
Oh, it's a he.
Dixie's not a she there, Bubba.
I know it's mighty confusing with the Bell part in there.
Yeah,
the Bell part threw me off.
It took me a second to realize who he was.
He put an E on the end of Bell, and that refers to a female. But I mean,
you threw me off.
He's from Texas, so
I probably know.
Oh, you know him.
I probably do. I have a
But
awful.
we love Dixie Bell too. He's one of my
What'd
best
you say?
buddies, man. He's one of my good friends I always enjoy hanging out with at the reunion.
Dixie Bell.
It's
Okay.
named after his dog. Okay, that all right. Now that makes sense.
That tracks. Yeah. No, I get that.
Yeah, Did Connor say he did not like dressing?
I think he did.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. You can have everything else and give me the dressing. I don't care about turkey. I eat mashed potatoes and gravy, green casserole, all that stuff. We make that at my house year round. All right. But I only get to eat dressing like, once a year. And dressing is with my wife's gravy. She makes a kind of a cream of chicken type gravy. And generally what happens is like I make way too much of it. And I will eat it breakfast, lunch, and dinner until it's gone. So usually about Monday, I'm out of dressing. True story.
Nice.
Yeah,
And as far as meat goes, I'm not a big turkey. I mean, turkey's okay. You know the way I like turkey? I like it with I like it on a sandwich with lots of mayonnaise and my homemade dill pickles, and that's how I like turkey. But now ham, I'll eat ham every single day for the rest of my life.
yeah, that's and that's why we do the ham is because after about 3 days, the turkey's gone because we have my aunt, my cousin's children, Susie's husband, Susie's youngin's wife, their youngin. So by the time that we've carved it and pulled it off, we're done with turkey. We're out of turkey. So especially because I eat the legs. That's my favorite. And see, James Martin says, "Please no giblets in the gravy."
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm. That's the only way I will eat it. Is giblet gravy.
No. If you put liver in it, I'm out.
Okay.
Totally out. Oh, and that Jimmy Martin, that reminds me of. All right, so y'all want to hear my Thanksgiving story from hell?
Sure.
Please.
All right, so I had not been out of the Marine Corps very long. Like it may have actually been the year that I got out, 1990. And while I was away, my father married a Yankee. Yeah, he did.
Okay.
And I don't mean a geographical northerner. I mean, I'm talking a full-fledged Yankee. I'm smarter than everybody else. I know everything. Okay. I couldn't stand this woman. And I still can't stand her. Honestly. I mean, it's just like my brother-in-law described her as Mary Poppins on crack. Okay. So 1990, I think it was, she did not like the South. She did not like Southern customs, Southern culture. I don't know what in God's name my father was thinking, but she absolutely refused to cook Southern food for Thanksgiving. No cornbread dressing. She didn't like cornbread dressing. She made cornbread with sugar in it. It tasted like, pound cake. So she decides she's going to make Yankee dressing for us, and she called it oyster dressing. What she did was she got about 10 pounds of ground beef and a big thing of raw oysters, and she mixed it all together. She put some raw eggs in there. And then I don't know what all kind of seasonings that she sprinkled over it. And she puts it in the oven, and like 45 minutes later, she pulls it out of the oven. She poured about 2.5 inches of grease down the down the drain and puts it back in the oven. She cooked this thing for like 2.5 hours. And I'm not seeing this going on. The girl I was dating at the time was watching it. She's the one that told me how she did it. All I know is I sat down at the table and there's something that looks like roadkill casserole sitting there. And everybody's trying to be nice except, back
Except
in the
Carl.
day, I kind of had no filter. I said, what the hell is this? My sister, innocent as could be, says, oh, good. I haven't had meatloaf in a long time. She says, no, that's dressing. And I'm like, I don't know any dressing I've ever had. But I cut a hunk of it out of there. I took one bite of it and I said, yeah, I'm done. My dad, trying to appease his wife, gets up from the table, goes to the refrigerator, comes back with a bottle of hot sauce, starts dousing hot sauce all over it. And when he did that, the floodgates kind of opened. We all start ridiculing this dressing. Eventually, she started laughing about it, like, oh, yeah, I made y'all Yankee dressing and y'all don't like it, ha, 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 ha. And so it became a big joke that stayed in the family for a number of years. And so as I was walking out the door to leave that evening, I said, hey, is there any of that dressing left over? She said, why? You're not going to eat it? And I said, no, I'm going to take it to work. Otherwise, nobody's going to believe me.
Well, and I can notice the distinction. Everything that we've been talking about with dressing, you've pronounced it correctly. But this oyster meatloaf concoction, you're actually adding the G on it. Dressing.
Dressing, yes. It's from Illinois.
Ugh.
I will give her. I will give the woman credit. I mean, later she got the message and eventually tried to learn how to make real dressing. Yeah.
Excuse me.
But yeah, that was. So I've had some really hard. Because look, I'm a dressing aficionado. I am. I mean, if the dressing's not good, Thanksgiving's ruined. Okay. I mean, that's my favorite food on the planet. It's like pizza to me. Everybody else loves pizza. Dressing's like that makes Thanksgiving for me. Okay.
Well,
so
hey, Carl, there's an idea that you just it sprung in my head because I know that you've ordered pizza at 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. Or was it 1 a.m.? I can't remember the story, but you ordered pizza and it didn't show up.
No, I didn't order it.
Yeah, you did.
Where? When?
You were drunk.
That's rumor. I've never been drunk in my entire life.
Well, according to the story you told me.
Oh, that was James Thornton's wife who ordered it.
Oh, I thought it was you. You ordered it before. So I think it was Abbeville.
Oh, I don't know what. Yeah, it's Alabama Education Conference.
Yeah. See, there we go with that's what I'm talking about. Instead of that, you need.
Yeah, I did actually order it that night.
You need to start a chain of dressing delivering businesses. That's all they deliver is just dressing.
Well, my uncle Rastus opened an ambulance service in his town, Stupple, Alabama, and he wasn't really getting the calls that he had hoped for. And so to try to cause more wrecks in their location, he opened a drive-through only soup and chili restaurant. He thought that, if people were driving down the road eating soup, there'd be more wrecks and he'd get more ambulance business.
Now, isn't that now the drive-through Lobster Hut Olive Garden combination?
I don't know if he's still in business or not, man. I mean, drive-through soup. Come on, beef stew, chili, chicken and dumplings, anything liquidy and in a bowl that might cause you to wreck.
White beans.
White beans and cornbread. Yeah.
Alan, you know better than that.
Yeah, Jimmy Martin says sage is very important.
Yeah, see,
100%, man. Look, there is no such thing as too much sage in dressing, in my opinion.
See, and that's why I don't eat dress. Is that which Mama doesn't make hers with sage anymore. But also, yeah, I don't like celery unless it's cooked down to the point I can't tell it's celery. So yeah.
Yeah, I like celery. Plus, it's got nutritional benefits. It evens out your blood pressure.
I put enough salt in everything to where or Tony's to negate anything of that. Chief Kennedy says they have drive-through liquor stores in Louisiana. I was amazed at the Walmart in a meet this past weekend. I walked in, was going to get some Powerades for this past weekend at the reenactment I was at, and their liquor department at their Walmart was better than some liquor stores in Mississippi. So,
yeah, Jimmy says most folks don't put enough sage in their sausage either. I would agree. I don't want to give too many of my secrets out, but I actually use sage in my steak marinade. Believe it or not. I make a great steak marinade. It's got sage in it.
Does it?
Yeah.
You put sage in your steak marinade?
I do. I put sage in my steak marinade. Fresh sage, not the prefab canned stuff,
That dried crap.
Yeah, that dried junk. Yeah, right.
So you have steak marinade?
I do make my own steak marinade.
Moose, you never guess what it has in it.
Huh?
I don't want.
Moose will never guess what's in it.
Sage. I'll tell you what's in it. I don't have a problem with it. It's
sage and other stuff.
Sage, other stuff. Soy sauce, apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, salt, black pepper, canola oil. There you go. All you got to do is figure out what part goes here and there.
And a block of cheese.
That's on the potato. Yeah, I don't put cheese on steak.
No, you shouldn't.
I guess that's really funny you mentioned steak and cheese. About the only real food invention that's worth the damn.
Thinking of what?
You kind of lagged there for a second on my end.
Yeah, no, my Wi-Fi is struggling this evening.
Yeah,
I'm hearing every other word from y'all.
Well, I was going to say the only real notable food influence from the North that's worth a damn, in my humble opinion, is the Philly cheesesteak.
Well, you talking about Yankee food. I mean, you where do they get the steak from?
True.
So,
beef industry in the South. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So the Philly cheesesteak and buffalo sauce are the two great Yankee contributions to the culinary world in America. And when we think about buffalo sauce, I mean, what is it? They took hot sauce and vinegar and added butter to it. And that's one of the great Yankee culinary contributions. Yeah, I mean,
That's pretty much it.
credit where credit's due.
I mean, they didn't. I mean, if you look at Cincinnati style chili, which I think isn't that chili with rice. I mean, that's a really a southern dish. They serve everything in rice in Louisiana, and then chili coming from Texas. I mean,
Yeah, most of what we would consider Yankee food either comes from the South or foreign countries. I don't think they've ever actually come up with anything. Um, you know, not anything that went over well. I mean, pizza.
yeah,
I've always thought pizza came from Oklahoma, honestly,
modern Chinese food.
but that's Chinese.
Well, I mean, it's not like Chinese you get in China. It's chop suey style. I think that's what it's came from New York.
Yeah, so they've doctored up, some existing food to make it palatable to Yankees, but I mean, what have they actually contributed to the eating habits of most Americans? I mean, well, I'll take that back. I mean, I think TV dinners,
Yeah,
frozen Salisbury steak made out of prefab hamburger meat that probably is made out of ingredients from the local sawmill or something like that. But
well, according to the late historian Bud Roberts, the Yankees actually did come up with Salisbury steak, and they tested it on Yankee prisoners that had deserted or done something else throughout the like 62 or 63.
was it frozen?
No, it was not frozen.
I bet if you looked into it, a Yankee invented the microwave.
Makes sense.
Because I'm old enough to remember cooking before the microwave.
Excuse me.
And I'm going to tell you, food went downhill after the microwave came on the scene.
Yeah. About the only thing I'll microwave is popcorn and pizza rolls.
I use it basically to heat stuff up, and that's about it.
Right.
The guy who invented the microwave was born in, let's see here, Maine and died in Massachusetts.
Oh, well, there we go.
There you have it. See, I didn't have to look that up. I just knew it instinctively.
Oh, yeah.
And even if you hadn't looked it up, Moose, we were still going to go with that.
Oh, yeah. Even if he was from somewhere else. No, he's theirs.
But the bunt cake was invented. The guy who invented the bunt cake pan was from Miss. He was a graduate of Mississippi State University.
The bunt cake?
Yeah.
I remember those. I've actually still got a bunt cake pan in my pantry that was my grandmother's.
Well, the guy who invented the cake was a graduate of Mississippi State University.
All right, so that reminds me. What are your favorite desserts for Thanksgiving?
Pecan pie.
There you go. That's gotta be.
Well, this year, so a couple, and we change it up every year. Mom usually makes or has made like a chocolate pie based on my grandmama's recipe. I'm really have been wanting either a buttermilk or an egg custard pie. We got a buttermilk pie recipe from the Champion family, which the Battle of Champions Hill in the Vicksburg campaign. It was their land where the battle was fought, and it was the matriarch of the family, Matilda, who she took the youngins into the root cellar and waited out the battle, and Yankees burnt the house and all that stuff. Well, it's her buttermilk pie recipe. I may try to talk Susie into making one of those.
My great grandmother made pecan pie. They had all right. So the house where when I was growing up, where we always had Thanksgiving was in Sampson, Alabama, Geneva County. The town, it's like 7-8 miles from the Florida border. All right, that's how far down in South Alabama we are. And my great grandmother was from there because her grandfather had moved across the Alabama line from Florida into Alabama after the war and started 2 churches. And so his family was planted there. And my great grandmother was born there in 1901. And she married my great granddad, and they moved into the house that his father built in 1922. That house is still there. And that was kind of my favorite place on the planet all of my life was Grandma and Granddaddy's house. And Granny McCartney, my great great grandfather, was still living there in the 1930s. He died in 1937, and I think that was the year my great grandparents, grandmother and granddaddy, went and planted. I think it was 16 pecan trees in the yard, and all but 3 of them, I believe, are still standing. They're still there, and so it was a big deal on Thanksgiving for us, all the kids and all the cousins, uncles, grandfather, all of us. We got out every year and gathered up pecans for grandmother. And I'm talking about we would have on a good year 2 or 3 30-gallon garbage cans full of pecans. And grandmother would go through those things and she would shell and sort every one of them, put them in the freezer bags. She had an entire stand-up deep freezer full of little bags of frozen pecans, and that's what she made her pecan pie out of. But there would be an entire table at her house on Thanksgiving when I was growing up. There would be an entire table of desserts. It would be chocolate pie, cakes, brownies. I mean, you name it. Everything you can think of would be on this one table. It was a card table. They'd have a card table set up that had nothing but desserts on it. And she cooked every bit of it herself. And my favorite was always her pecan pie. One year she made blueberry pie. And before supper was served, it was like early in the afternoon. And I went in there and I said, "Grandmother, can I have some blueberry pie?" She said, "Well, you can have as much as you want." That's what she called me, sugar. So there were 2 blueberry pies. I ate 1 and 1/2 of them. And I got so doggone sick, I did not touch another blueberry until about 8 or 9 years ago. I had to go lay down in I guess it was a sugar high. I don't know. I had to go lay down in my Aunt Dot's bed and just watch the room spin around from an overdose on blueberry pie.
Only in the South can you overdose on desserts.
Yeah, man.
I was about 10 or 11 years old. And that pie was so good, I just kept going and going and going. I was like, "Hey," she said, "I can have as much as I want. There's another one left. Let me have half of it." And man, I think that was the sickest I've ever been in my entire life.
Mm.
And you know how much I fussed at for it? Not a bit.
Did you eat anything else that day?
No, I laid down. I think I missed supper. I mean, I went back there and laid down and went to sleep when the room stopped spinning. You know, and I don't think I even ate supper that night.
Ugh. Well,
then there was the year that my Uncle Terry illegally killed a turkey. he was deer hunting or squirrel hunting with a 22 rifle, and a turkey walked out in front of him, and he shot the turkey through the head and killed it. And everybody was all excited. Oh, okay, we're going to have wild turkey this year. Did anybody in my family actually know how to cook wild turkey? Well, no. And that thing came out, man, it was so dry. There wasn't enough mayonnaise in Alabama
to make it. Speaking of wild game and Thanksgiving, we'd always used to go down at my grandmama's house down in Simpson County. And one year she had some new neighbors, and they dug a giant pond, and they had some exotic ducks. And one year, my cousin, before I was born, but I'm the youngest. Mom was the youngest of 7, and I'm the youngest grandchild. So all my cousins are older than me. Well, one of my older cousins, because before I was born, shot one of those ducks, and this was during the summer because we would all throughout the summer go spend a week down there with her. And anyway, so the neighbor gets all pissed off, and it's like I said, it's an exotic endangered species duck or something like that. Well, they ended up paying off the neighbor, and then they ended up paying for the duck to get mounted, and they gave it to my Uncle Archie. So Archie brings the dang stuffed duck to Thanksgiving, and everybody thinks he doesn't know that the duck was shot illegally, and he sure as hell doesn't know that they spent, at that point in the late 70s, early 80s, $300 to pay off the guy and to have the duck mounted, and it's sitting there on the furnace, and everybody's looking at it, and oh yeah, it's just such a pretty duck, it's so good, and Dad, being the son-in-law, the outsider moving in, was right after Mom and Daddy got married, and Archie looked at my daddy and he said, "Chuck, what do you think about my $300 duck?" And everybody, my grandmama was in on it, my aunt was in on it, I think Mama was in on it, hiding it from Uncle Archie. Everybody's face just drained of blood from what they told me. So yeah, that's I think statute of limitations on that's over with, so I could tell that story.
Have you ever eaten duck?
Yeah, buddy of mine, last duck I had, I smoked and did a cherry glaze on it. It turned out pretty good. But my favorite is duck and sausage gumbo.
Yeah, my experience with duck is it can be really bad or really tolerable.
Yeah. Well, in the gumbo, you couldn't really tell what it was. It had a little bit of gaminess to it. Of course, when I smoked it, and then I smoked it with cherry wood, and I put that cherry glaze on it. It was really good. Just it was a small duck, so it wasn't a lot of meat on it. It's greasy. It's a greasy meat.
Well, it's a little too close. Kind of like dove. I'm not a big dove fan. I love quail, but dove not so much. And duck duck and dove both to me are kind of too close to liver, and I just cannot eat liver. So. But I've had duck. I've cooked it before, and I followed actually a recipe by Emerald Lagasse that he had learned out of Louisiana, I think, and that was where you cut under the skin of the duck and stuffed it full of fresh jalapeno peppers, and made some kind of rub that went on it, and then cooked it. And it actually wasn't terrible. It was. I could eat it. It wasn't bad. It's not something I would do on a regular basis, but yeah, duck to me, it's just a little too close to liver.
Well, this is Mama's recipe for duck. Take the duck out, spatchcock, and put it on a cutting board. Oil it, season it with Tony's, black pepper, garlic powder, salt, onion powder, sage, rosemary, a little bit of time, throw the duck away and eat the cutting board.
Yeah, I can see that.
She doesn't like duck.
My wife's not a big fan either. That time that I was talking about that I cooked it stuffed full of jalapenos, she ate it. And she said, "Yeah, it's okay." I've never cooked another duck, and that was approximately 21 years ago. So,
Well, Mom's also weird. She doesn't like Heinz 57, and I can't wrap my mind around that.
oh, I like house food. I don't eat it on steak. I eat it on eggs.
Okay. That threw me for a loop. Moose.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
Just you're to make sure you're there.
I'm here. What?
We
Okay,
can't see you.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Sorry. All right, here we go.
Did you
That's
change
Tom
locations?
No.
Oh, he's gone to the North Pole.
No, I got good old Saint Nick here now.
That's creepy.
He's going to be here until our end of the year episode.
We're getting closer
I
to
hate
that.
people, I hate people who decorate for Christmas early, but we only have a couple more SCV chat episodes, so I thought I'd go ahead and swing him in.
That's sweet. All right, Miss, we've been at it for an hour. Sign us off.
All right, well, I want to thank everybody for watching tonight. Make sure you share this episode out, get it to everybody we can. We had a good fun time tonight, and I hope to see you all. Well, how much of that did y'all hear? Because I just realized my screen cut out.
Hear all of it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, make sure you tune in this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Confederate Standard Time. We'll have a rerun of Commander's comments on YouTube and Facebook. And, of course, we'll be taking this Thursday off. No Look Around the Confederation. We'll be back, though, next week with an Army of Northern Virginia update on the show. As well as next Monday, we'll have the executive director himself, Adam Southern, on to give an update on the hearth and home of the SCV. It's going to be a great day. We're winding down our season here at SCV Chat. We'll only have, let's see here.
2 more Mondays and two more Thursdays.
So we'll have, let's see here, probably
we got
2 more
Adam,
2 more Thursday episodes.
3 Mondays.
Yeah, and then the season finale will be December 11th, our Christmas and Dixie episode, the gag reel, and just a good old family time as we wrap up this season of SCV Chat. Season 4 will officially be in the books on December 11th. December 4th, we'll have a special guest on for that episode. And, of course, next Monday we'll have Adam. So we have a stacked rest of the season for you. And we have, I think 2 more episodes of Look Around.
We may have Thomas Franklin come on showing us how to flock trees for the Christmas episode.
You know, he was brought up last Thursday. No one's heard from him in a while. Then we heard that he's trying to start an army for the son of Harold Philpotts so Canada can be added to one of the armies. But he wants to make his own army.
Well, I got a different story. I heard his wife was laid up in the hospital. She got run over by a team of hogs.
Well, at least her arm didn't get caught in the combine this year.
Yeah, bless her heart.
Yeah, it would have torn the combine slap up.
I heard that he got trapped in his own bowl trap for about 3 days. Didn't have any food or water. It finally worked. But, it doesn't kill or harm the voles, but he couldn't get out.
I didn't think it even detained them.
Well, it detained him. It may not detain Bowles, but it detained Harold, or not Harold, Thomas.
Yeah.
God bless him. But yeah, no, apparently Jason confirmed that Thomas had called him asking to make an army for Canada for the sole reason that the son of Harold Philpotts can be in an army.
Well, if anybody deserves it.
Yeah, it's him.
Anyway, guys, we're going to call it here. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Remember to
Connor's frozen again.
okay, I'm not frozen anymore. Do your research, all that good stuff. We're going to hop off before we really screw up the show. So, y'all.
Remember, no fumar in the elevator.